have your warm-up done, you're standing up. You will have time to write all this in your notebook. I don't want you in your notebook. I want you working on your handout right now. There's an entire can of them back there. I'm good, honestly. I had a bagel this morning. I don't want to. Do you want to sleep?
I already did this. No, I didn't get it. No. I was going to get you a single, but then she said she didn't want it, so then I just gave it to Charles, because he asked for it.
That works too.
Yeah. I mean, it's somebody. You know the math assignment that we did yesterday? Basically, I didn't do it because I wanted to some pipette and basically for the exercises. I don't know why. So I didn't put that work because I didn't do it.
Okay. We'll talk about it. All right. Let's go ahead and let's go over this. So the next couple days, we're going to be doing a warm-up like this. We're going to be doing notes, and then we're going to be doing practice problems on a specific part of your sentence. So put your pencils down. It's okay if you're not done. And each day, we're going to focus on part, we're going to focus on percent, and then we're going to focus on whole. All right, so it says sale. Today only. High definition TV is now 25% off, normally $500. So question number 1 says in the advertisement above, if we want to determine how much money we will save, are we looking for the part, the percent, or the whole? So what I want you guys to do is when I say part or percent or whole, whichever one you wrote down, I just want you to stand up. Okay? So if you said part, stand up. Or if you wrote part, sorry. Okay? Have a seat. If you said percent, stand up. Okay, and if you said whole, stand up. All right. So one good thing, why is it not the percent? Like, why is it not percent? We know it's not percent. Mikael. I have no idea what you're saying, child. Right. It already gives us a percent. All right, so remember this equation set up from yesterday? You guys remember this in your notes for the missing the part, whatever? So this one is our percent. This one is is our part, and this one is our whole. Correct? Remember that? So based off of what Mikhail just said, we already know our percent because it tells us that it's now 25% off. So we know it cannot be percent. So kudos to you guys for nobody picking that. Good job on picking that up in that information. Now, part or whole. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. The majority of us picked part. So let's look through here and identify which number is the whole. Levi. 500 is our whole because that is our total, right? So our total of this TV is 500. So the part that we do not know is our part. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so to answer number 1, you should have wrote, we're looking for the part. All right, so what clues led to your decision in question number 1? So what were some of the reasons why you picked what you picked? Troy?
Because Neri says in the sentence now 25% off.
All right, so we already knew our percent. Okay, what was another clue? Mila? Okay, so 500 is our whole. Or what else? What word did I use? Like, what is 500 representing? Well, it's representing the whole, but it's also representing something else.
Total.
The total. All right, and total and whole will go, we can interchange those two words because total is also the whole. All right, anything else out there that told us why we're looking for the part? Okay? All right, so number 3, this is a guess. So it's okay if you don't have the exact answer, right? So it says about how much money do you think you would save if you purchased one of these TVs today? All right, Ronnie? Not $125. How do you say it? You guys have got to learn how to say money. Because let me tell you what. Ooh, it's bad. It's real bad. Kylie. So that was your guesstimate? I want you guys to tell me what you wrote, without doing any math, what you thought you would say. Because that's what this question, this is a guess. This is not the exact whatever amount. This is just what you think based off of the information. What did you come up with, Zoe? 375 is what you thought you'd say? Okay? So I'm just going to draw an arrow down here. So we have 375. What was another option? So we said 125. What was another one? Okay, anybody else come up with something different? They come up with, which come up with?
150.
150. Alright. Anybody else? Alright, again, these are guesses. These are not exact because we haven't done the math yet. Alright, so now we're gonna find out if it's 375, it's 125, or 150. Alright, set up down here your equation. Alright, so when you're finding the part, what do we do with our decimal at 25? What do we do with it? If you're not sure, look back at your notes from yesterday, right? What do we do, Mikhail? Behind the 2? No. On your notes from yesterday, what does it tell us to do when we're trying to find the missing part? Or better yet, someone raise your hand and tell me what fraction that is. What does that fraction say?
25 cents.
2500. So if I wanted to write 2500 as a decimal, what would it look like?
The decimal is in front of the 2.
Whoever found it was, just turn it off. So my decimal is going to be in front of the 2, right? And then I know that I'm multiplying everything else. So you're going to do 500 times 2500. So go ahead, do that on your paper now. Stand up when you have your answer. Alright, how many of you guys got 125? That should be your answer. Today, yeah.
I know how someone got 375.
I know how they did too. They subtracted this from 500, but that would be the sale price. 375 would be the sale price. Like that's what you would pay if you were gonna buy the TV. This is the discount. Okay? So when it asks how much would you save, you would save $125. Does that make sense? All right, so go ahead, glue this in. Today, our notes, we're going to be focusing on the part today, which is honestly the hardest one to do. So we figured expose you to the very generic notes yesterday, and I want to go a little bit in depth, a little bit more depth today. All right. So if you want to have a highlighter out today to highlight some parts, you most definitely can. If you don't want to, you do not have to. All right. So we're going to be using proportion to perform part calculations, which essentially is kind of what we exposed you to yesterday. It just wasn't as detailed as today is going to be. All right. It says. Now that we understand what percentage is, we know how to determine whether we are seeking what 3 things that we're looking for when we're trying to find a percent. What's 1? Say that. What's 1? Okay, so we're looking for the percent. All right, what's another one that we're looking for? Kylie? The whole or the part? All right, we are ready to tackle percent of a number of problems. To do this, we will use the percent proportion equation. So this is what we exposed you guys to yesterday. So this this equation will stay with you. It's very easy when you have a calculator to do percents. It's not so easy when you don't. So you have to make sure that you completely understand this. So The P stands for what? Raise your hand and tell me. What does the P stand for?
Part.
Part. All right. What does the W stand for?
Whole.
The whole. And what obviously does that symbol stand for? The percent. And then 100 always goes in the bottom right. That will be the one thing. Well, these will all always go where they are. But 100, the number, will always, 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 always be there. Okay? Everything else might be different, but that 100 will always be there. All right? Since we know how to solve proportions, all we need to do is substitute. The two values we are given into proportion and solve for the variable. Now let's talk about what a variable is real quick. Anybody know what a variable is? What do you think, Emma?
It's the answer.
Nope, not the answer. So I represent it with this. So obviously that's not a number, right? So what do you think is, Emma?
It's a letter or symbol that represents a number that we do not know yet.
Perfect. So we're just going to say letter for unknown number. And go ahead and highlight variable, just so that stands out to you a little bit. All right, so for example that we're going to do today, we already did it. What is 25% of 100, which was our warm-up problem. So technically we already know our answer, right? But we're going to use that to kind of learn how to use the proportion models. All right, so step number 1 is this: determine what you're looking for, the part, the percent, or the whole. We recognize that we were looking for what? The part. I want you to highlight that you always have to figure out if you're looking for the part, the percent, or the whole. Because depending on what part you're looking for will determine how you are going to solve the problem. Step number 2, it says substitute the two known values into the percent proportion equation and leave a variable in place of the unknown. So there's that word again, so variable goes in the place of the unknown value. Alright, this one, excuse me, so we don't know what our part is, so that's our variable. X becomes our variable. 500 becomes our whole number, and 25% becomes our percent. So just like we did here, you're just putting it on your notes page now, that's all. All right, and then step number 3 says solve the proportion for the variable using any of the methods learned in previous units. So we technically have not taught you a specific method just because sometimes when you teach children a method, they feel like they must do it. So that's why I just say move the decimal over 2 places to the left and multiply, but that's technically not a method. You are going to see 3 different methods today that you can choose from to use. All right, so side to side method. it's going to look very, very similar to something we have already done. So we're going to put our numbers in that we know. We have 500 here. We have 25 here. Now, what does this one look very similar to that we have learned very recently? Emmeline?
Unit rate.
Unit rate, rate, all of that, right? So, Emmeline, if you wanted to use this one, can you use the top or do you have to use the bottom?
Both.
Okay, good answer. Let me rephrase my question. In order to figure out what to do here, do we use the top or do we use the bottom?
The bottom.
We use the bottom. So Emmeline, it's got a arrow going from 100 to 500. What are we going to do?
Multiply 100 and 500.
Not together. What do we multiply 100 by to get 500?
5.
5. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 5. What do we have to do to the top?
Multiply by 5.
Perfect. All right, and then we already know what our answer is. We already know it's 125, but 25 times 5 gives us 125. That is one method. Okay? And it's something very similar that we've been doing a lot of. The only difference is you're not setting it to William. This way. You're not setting it to 1. You're just simply putting your information in and solving. Okay, so that's one way. The up and down method. So we're still going to put the numbers in we know. So we're going to put our 500 in, and we're going to put our 25 in. All right, so for this one, unlike the other one, well, actually, it's just like the other one. So you have two numbers here, you have one number here. Which side are we going to use in order to help us solve this problem? No?
The right.
The right side. So, and your arrow is going from the bottom to the top, Noah. So, am I going to multiply or am I going to divide?
Divide.
What am I going to divide 100 by to get 25? So, I'm going to divide by 4 here, which means what do I have to do on the other side?
Divide by 4.
I have to divide 500 by 4. And again, we know our answer is 125. Okay? Two methods you can use. All right, the last method is the cross product method. I struggle with this method because I despise it. But I'm going to show it to you because it's a good method. And you guys have used cross multiplication before, have you not?
Yeah.
In like fourth and fifth grade?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, putting in our numbers, so we have 500 here, we have 25 here, and we have our x there. So when you cross multiply, you multiply here and you multiply here. So this becomes 500 times 25, and then this becomes 100 times x. So 500 times 25 gives you 12,500 equals 100x. And we haven't learned about expressions and equations yet, and this is essential in an equation. But you have to get your variable by itself. So 100x pushed together, do you guys know what operation is going on there? What do you think?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. So Jonathan, what is the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
All right, so I'm going to divide by 100 here, and I'm going to divide by 100 there. So if I just take my zeros off, what's my answer?
125.
125. So 125 equals x, or p, or q, or r, or whatever letter you put in there. All right, so these are your three options today that you have to use. So yes, I showed you a method yesterday, moving your decimal and multiplying. Today I want you to pick one of these and get really comfortable with it. I don't care if you do the side by side, the up and down, or the cross product. I don't care what you do, but you gotta pick one and do that. Or if you want to try all of them, you try all of them. I don't really care. Whatever makes your heart happy, but you gotta show your work. And yes, here we didn't necessarily show our work because obviously we knew our answer. But if you're picking this one, I want you to do, obviously you don't have to do that. Like I would want you to do the 25 times 5 gives you 112, 112. 125. Here I'd want you to do your 500 divided by 4, which gives you 125. Okay, so you do have to add that extra step in. Raise your hand if you think you're going to do the side-to-side method. Okay? All right, raise your hand if you think you're going to do the up and down method. Okay. And then raise your hand if you think you're going to do the cross product method. Okay, why are you picking the cross product method? You feel what?
He feels it's the easiest for him.
Easiest for you? Okay, and that's exactly why I want you to pick whichever one you want to pick. Whichever one feels easiest to you. So let's say I raised my hand and I wanted to do the side-to-side method. Like that was what I originally wanted to do. And I started my practice problems. Why are you writing? I started on my practice problems using the side-to-side method and it got real hard real fast. Can I switch to another method? Yes, please. Don't stick with something that all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this is not easy. This is not what I thought it was going to be. That's why you have 3 methods. All right? Sliding over to your problems, you have 8. We're going to do the first one together, which will give you 7. All right? So it says, what number is 25% of 68? I like the side-to-side method. The reason I like the side-to-side method is because it is so similar to finding rate and unit rate. It's stuck in my head. All right, so raise your hand and tell me what numbers are going where. So we have 25% and we have 68. Where are those numbers going to go? Camden.
The 25 is going to be on top of the 100.
Yep. And so we use
I don't
it.
know what it's 68.
You what?
I don't know what it's 68.
Okay, so here's my question. What is our skill that we're focusing on today? Read the directions across the top. All right, so we're trying to find the part. So where's your 68 gonna go?
Next to the 100.
Next to the 100, yep. All right, so real quick, put your pencils down. All right, could have left my 25. So this is our problem, right? And I want to do essentially the rate process. What happens when I do this? It does, but it's going to be a crazy number, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, skirt, skirt. Nope, not happening. Because in life, as much as I do love math, I want math to be as easy as possible. And this is why you are allowed to change if you need to. Because going from 100 to 25 is a whole lot easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we divide 100 by to get 25? Christiana. So I'm going to divide this by 4, which means I'm going to divide 68 by 4. So 68 divided by 4. How many times does 4 go into 68? Zoe? How many?
17 times?
Yes. Sorry. So my answer here for X is going to be 17 is 25% of 68. So I'm going to do my divide by 4. Divide by 4. And that is my answer. Okay? So this is why, guys, we give you more than one method to use. Because had I said you only are allowed to do the side to side, you'd be here for a while, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You really would. And it would not be fun, and then you would wanna throw things at me, and I prefer not to get anything thrown at me on a Friday. Alright, you have number 2 through number 8. You're working by yourself. You may move around the room. When you're finished, I wanna see it. So just come and show me.